oriented students or industry students. So we are always keeping this practice of involving the more industrialists to the department via expert lectures.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, sir, for giving us your valuable time. And I hope that today's lecture will be fruitful for all the students. As far as today's topic is concerned, sir, concrete technology is very vast, versatile, and very basic field of civil engineering. But at the same time, looking into the innovation in the field of concrete technology, it is very much challenging for the student, those who are following even university syllabus. So in order to overcome the limitation of RTM and syllabus, such kind of expert lectures are very much fruitful. So I appeal all the students to pay full attention, because whatever sir will guide you, it is all about the practical application and application of the concrete technology in the field of civil engineering. So students, thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much, sir. Honorable Dr. Nadeem sir, Muhammad Nadeem sir, for giving your valuable time. And I request Katosh sir to start formally.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So before starting the expert lecture, I would like to give a brief introduction of our today's expert. Our today's expert is Dr. Mohammad Nadeem. Presently, sir is Vice President at Ambuja Cements Limited and having a total experience of 26 plus years. Sir has worked in Howie India, a Canada-based consultancy firm where sir worked in high-rise buildings, industrial projects, material handling and marine projects. Sir has technical affiliation with Indian Concrete Institute, Association of Consulting Civil Engineers, American Concrete Institute. Sir is fellow member of Institute of Engineers, Chartered Engineers, member of Institution of Structural Engineers, United Kingdom. Sir has published and presented 25 plus research papers in national, international conferences and journals. Sir's research interest includes prefab construction, advanced RCC design, high-rise buildings, advanced construction materials and concrete technology, green concrete, ultra-high strength concrete, and light transmitting concrete. Sir has delivered lectures and conducted workshops covering 5,000 plus professionals. Sir has visited various countries all around the world for exploring construction technology and practices such as USA, Canada, Germany, Switzerland, Australia, Hong Kong, Singapore, UAE, Malaysia, and Sri Lanka. Sir, we are honored to have you with us today. Thank you very much for giving your valuable time to us. I now hand over this session to you, sir. You can start with your lecture. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Just confirm it's visible.
Yes, sir, it is clearly visible.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you very much, Mohit Singh ji, for an elaborate introduction. So I'll just give you a brief of today's lecture. What I'll do, I'll just switch off my camera just to give a better connectivity. I don't know how it is. Yeah. Okay, so coming back to the topic, which is on a durable, sustainable concrete by utilization of ultrafine SCMs. Now, as a final year student, or that is most of the thing is already being covered in your subjects, and you are as already been told that you are also attending a lot of lectures from the industrial, you can say associates, or the you can say experts. So a lot of things might have been covered. So that's why I choose a little different, you can say, topic on the concrete itself, which may or may not have been covered. So what we will focus is, of course, our focus is to have a durable concrete, a sustainable concrete, where we are talking about a concrete having a service life of more than 100 years. And how to achieve that by utilization of ultrafine SCM, which is a, you can say, a latest trend where SCMs are nothing but supplementary cementitious material like fly ash and GGBS. That is already being used in the traditional concrete. But nowadays, there are ultrafine materials, which is also to be added in a concrete just to make a sustainable, where we are talking about a service life of say 100 years and 150 years. So this is how we will focus on this topic. How we will cover, we'll just give you a background. And of course, in between, somebody wanted to ask a question, he is free to ask. There is no restriction on that. So we'll see inside of the concrete. So we will go a little bit towards the microstructure of a concrete. Then we will see the ultrafine SCMs, supplementary cementitious materials. We will see the durability tests, case studies of national and international, you can say, projects, and various specification and conclusion. These are, we will try to conclude this within a 1 hour time, which is being allotted. So coming back to importance of concrete microstructure. So if you want to see the properties of any of the material, it is always governed by its internal structure. Like for example, suppose a steel, if you want to change the properties, so change the small quantity of a carbon and you will get a different quality of steel. In concrete, porosity rules the properties. Of course, there are other property which we need to look into it, but majority of the things when we are talking about the durability of a concrete, if you work on the porosity, most of the things are being, you can say, covered in that aspect. So this is how we are saying, okay, if you focus on porosity of a concrete, of course, this porosity is at a microstructure level. Most of the things, most of the issues will get, you can say, rid of from the concrete. And we are talking about the service life of 100 years or 150 years, which is possible if you focus on porosity. So in this topic, we will focus on porosity and how to, you can say, overcome this porosity issue in a concrete and to get the durable concrete. So in some sense, what is not there governs the material behavior. A best example is, say, this present pandemic. Coronavirus is so, you can say, fine, means at a micro level, it's less than 1 micron. But just see the havoc this created is in the world, not only in India, across the world. And that's why even these vaccines are all being worked at a micro level. So is a practical, you can say, example. So whatever maybe a big thing is happening, people are becoming sick. There are a lot of fatalities are happening, but it's because of very, very, you can say, tiny coronavirus. So that is affecting on a microstructure level, and the impact is coming at a macro level. So concrete is also similar in that sense. A lot of things has to be worked at a microstructure level, and a lot of improvement will happen at a macro level. So that we will see. And we will also understand the microstructural understanding opens the world for the better processing. That we will see. So if you just see the history, this fine and ultrafine material has been used in concrete for more than 2000 years. And best example is this Romans built that Pantheons, which is still intact in Rome, Italy. And this is reflecting the durability of the concrete. So people used to, along with the cementitious material, people were using these fine and ultrafine materials in concrete to make it durable. So this concrete is lasting for more than 2000 years. Even in modern world, there are a lot of structures is being constructed. Burj Khalifa, Shanghai Wall, even in India, World One, Mumbai. There are many towers which are coming up in future. So a lot of structures are being built up based on this usage of this material. And of course, all structures are made up of concrete with a durability of, say, of course, in terms of durability, we are talking about the service life of a structure, more than 100 years. So which is possible, not only earlier, but in a modern, you can say, structures, people are using it very effectively. Just give a brief of the history. This is how the durable concrete of course, high strength concrete doesn't mean a durable concrete. Of course, durable concrete with high strength concrete. So as you are working on the concrete, making it, you can say, a high performance concrete. So both the things are getting associated with this concrete. So this is how we started making a concrete. Initially, we were restricted to M15, M20, M25 grade of concrete. And as the technological development happens, the grade of concrete, the strength of the concrete increases. Strength of the concrete also associated with the durability, because we are reducing the porosity in a concrete, reducing the water cement ratio in the concrete. So in turn, it's a reduction in porosity and giving the higher strength. There are many, you can say, structure being built up. In India, if you see, World One, Mumbai, use M95 grade of concrete. And of course, there are, you can say, cases like Burj Khalifa. They used a different grade of concrete, 60, 65. Of course, with a different performance requirements. We will not go into a detail. You might have come across these kind of examples or cases in your earlier lectures also. There are many structures like in Tokyo, they built with a M30 grade of concrete by utilization of all the ultra SCMs and other materials, which we will discuss. In Mumbai also, in India, Palace Royal, that is a building already being constructed, use M80 grade of concrete. World One recently being constructed with RCPT value of more than 1000 slump, 200 mm, and this is how the requirement of elastic modulus and compressive strength. M95 grade of concrete, where they use the OPC 400 kg fly ash, 100 kg microfine materials, 50 kg maximum aggregate size were restricted to 10 mm. So that is possible, which people are using in all the, you can say, modern or mega structures in India also. So this is a typical mixed design of a concrete. If you are making a ultra high strength concrete, which is practically not possible, of a 150 MPa. Of course, normally people are keeping a flowability of, say, self-compacting concrete level itself, because concrete has to pump to a height of, say, 100 story or you can say 80 story kind of thing. So you can't think of a manual transportation. You need to pump it, and looking to the congestion of the reinforcement, one has to have a very flowable concrete. So even high strength concrete, but flowable concrete. And of course, all the concrete, you have to use the microfine material along with cement and you can say SCMs in the form of fly ash or a GGBS, and then microfine materials, which we'll see. Just see the water binding ratio of less than, say, 0.15, 0.18, 0.2, 0.2, 0.3, 0.25. So all the, you can say, concrete, if you see, now the water cement ratio or water binder ratio is being restricted less than 0.3. Because ultimate idea is to reduce the porosity in a concrete, means fine pores. Once you are reducing the fine pores, naturally you have to reduce the water binder ratio. And nowadays a lot of good admixtures are available, PC based admixtures are available, where you can reduce the water quantity by, say, more than 30, 35, 40% of water quantity, which is possible. And of course, if you just see the cement and microfine material, that is being added, and of course sometimes fibers are also being added. So these are, you will get very high strength concrete with utilization of these materials. There are many advantages why people are switching from low strength of a concrete to high strength of a concrete. Naturally, if you just see, if you are switching from M40 grade to M60, there will be a lot of reduction of concrete content by 40%. There will be a reduction of steel by, say, 40%. And there will be a reduction of construction cost also. Just imagine a building of a, say, 70, 80 story of a building. And if you are switching from a M30 or M40 to M60, and just calculate the saving happening. And of course, there is a, you can say, extra space available because of reduction of the your component sizes also. If you are reducing from 40 to 80, there will be a reduction of volume. And your load is also being reducing by 30%. So if you say tall structures, where for designing a tall structure, actually wind load governs the design, you can say, criteria, then your static load. So if you are reducing these loads, and it's becoming, the structure is becoming flexible, then you have a lot of economy also. So a lot of, you can say, advantages are there in going to the, you can say, higher strength of a concrete or high grade of concrete, which is creating a sustainability also. We are looking for a structure of 100 years or 120 years of a life without any, you can say, issues in that structure. So sustainability or the maintenance cost gets reduced, and the overall cycle gets reduced by utilization of this concrete. So these are the performance expectation. So one need a higher lead strength. The modulus of elasticity should be high because now we are going very tall structures. There should be a low creep, of course, because of the tall structures. High workability I discussed. People are looking for a flowable concrete, so that is very easy to go into a very congested reinforcement. And there should be a rheology, better rheology also. So the shape of the concrete should not get distorted while transporting from the ground level to a 80-story of a building or a 40-story of a building. So the shape of a concrete should remain intact. So rheology of the concrete is also playing an important role. It should not happen from the ground level to the top level. There should be a, you can say, segregation of the marcha. So you will not get those properties. Low permeability, which we discuss. Of course, later stage, it should be, you can say, protected. There should be a resistance from the sulfate and chloride. There should be a frost resistance. There should be a chemical resistance and abrasion resistance. But the epicenter of all the properties, if you can achieve the low permeability, that we are calling it as an epicenter, lot of things will get automatically will achieve. Like suppose sulfate and chloride resistance. If you have a low permeability, naturally these, you can say, chemicals will not attack on the concrete, because that will remain in either in a water or in a subsoil or in the atmosphere. But if your concrete is a very low permeable, then this will not attack. Even the chemical resistance, abrasion, and naturally you will get a high strength. Once you have a low pores, you will get a high strength. So our focus will be on to get a low permeability, low permeable concrete, and this I will discuss in subsequent slides. So for those expectation, the specification for the concrete parameters looks like this. Of course, this is a typical specification. So people are not talking on the elastic modulus. Along with the strength, it is important to have your elastic modulus. Elastic modulus is nothing but the ratio of stress to strain. If you just see that graph of our concrete, which you discuss in your concrete technology subjects. So that also being specified. Of course, drying shrinkage, and that is also becoming important, because once you have very high strength concrete, then there will be a drying shrinkage happens. So that should not be more than the limits. Otherwise, there will be a cracks, and the very purpose of our concrete to make a impermeable will get defeated. So we want both the things, higher strength and other aspects also. Creep coefficient, of course, we are talking about a very tall structure, 120 story, 130 story kind of buildings. Then naturally, creep coefficient becomes very important. Then RCPT, which we will discuss, less than 1000 coulombs. ISAT, all are the tests related to durability. ISAT is surface absorption test. Water permeability should be less than 10 mm. Chloride diffusion, because once you have a low permeability, all those things should be at a lower level. So these are the tests which confirm that this particular concrete is good and can sustain a life of say more than 100 years. So these are the tests being specified on the concrete. So concrete should satisfy along with the strength these, you can say, parameters, so that we can say this concrete can long last, or you can say a service life of more than 100 or 120 years. Temperature is also being restricted. Grade of concrete can vary depending upon the strength requirement from M40 to M100. Cement content is also being reduced. Of course, with all those parameters are linked with the design life, which we are looking for more than 100 years. Now coming to cement, now one by one we will unfold, you can say, and we'll go into a microstructural world. So if you see the cement, which you already studied in your concrete technology, there are 4 major components or major, you can say, compounds in a cement: dicalcium silicate, tricalcium silicate, tricalcium aluminate, and tetracalcium aluminoferrite. So among the 4, you can say, major compounds, 2 are the important one, which gives the actual strength in a concrete: tricalcium silicate and dicalcium silicate. And you might have learned that tricalcium silicate gives the major strength, but on the other side, it gives more heat of hydration. And dicalcium is a, you can say, a component which gives the strength, but rate of gain of strength is slower in the initial period. So earlier, if you just see the graph from 1920 to 2020, earlier, if you see the 1920, if you see the percentage of tricalcium silicate and dicalcium silicate, earlier dicalcium silicate was on a higher side because the requirement of a concrete was to the tune of, say, M15, M20 initial stages. Then later on, development happens. We just saw the history. 1970, people started developing a concrete grade of 60, 70 MPa. Naturally, the requirement of cement of a high strength, early high strength, started coming from that aspect. And this is how, if you just see, the tricalcium silicate component is increased. So one side you are getting a higher strength because of cement, because of higher percentage of tricalcium silicate. Disadvantage is you are incorporating a higher heat of hydration in your concrete. And once this heat of hydration is more, naturally, you are aware that there are a lot of disadvantage also. There will be a autogenous cracking, micropores, and so many, you can say, disadvantage because of this. But one has to, you can say, come out with the solution, because we can't say nowadays to use M20 grade for M80, M20 grade in 80 story of a building, which is not possible. So the disadvantage is there, but how to compensate that we will see. And of course, the modern day cement is having a very high efficiency level, which gives the 0.22 MPa per kg per cubic meter of cement contained in your concrete mix. So if you just see our concrete, 65 to 70% of the volumes are inert. Just imagine a concrete where we are putting sand and aggregate. Of course, sometimes aggregate is also reactive, but that is not a general case. ASR, which we call, if reactive, you can say, silica is there, so it reacts with alkalis in a cement, so ASR reaction happens. But most of the times our aggregates are inert. Sand also is inert. Of course, there are some issues with the fines and other things, but most of the volume of a concrete, if you see the fine aggregate and coarse aggregates, are inert. If you add the water also, most of the things we are saying as per IS 456, one has to use the potable water. If you add that also, almost 85% of the volume of a concrete, it's the inert. So what is reactive is 15%. So we have to work on the 15% of the volume which we are adding in the form of cementitious material. Now among them also we will go further deep dive into that matrix. So hardly any very fine percentage remains where which we need a focus, and then we will be able to achieve a very durable concrete. So our scope remains at a very, you can say, lower percentage of, say, 10 to 15%, and lower than that we will see. So these are the our concrete looks. So this is how the initial stage, where there are coarse aggregate, fine aggregate, and water is being added, and this is a cement paste. So in an initial stage, you will see 40% is this solid part in the form of aggregates in terms of volume, 60% in the form of paste, maybe paste of mortar, sand, cement, water, and slowly hydration happens, and then during the hydration, solid volumes go on increasing in a concrete, and then at certain stage 80% of the volume becomes solid, 20% becomes you can say on a in the form of fine pores, in the form of some paste, which is reaction is going on in a concrete matrix. So if you see the normal reaction of a cement, so once we add water into a cement, it creates CSH gel. CSH gel is nothing but calcium silicate hydrase, which gives the strong bond, which actually gives or provide the strength to the concrete. Along with this, there is a component being you can say developed, which is calcium hydroxide, which is a little bit weak component. Of course, this is responsible for maintaining the pH of a concrete. pH of the concrete is in the range of say 13 or a 12, which is good for the reinforcement, because in an alkaline environment there will not be any corrosion. So one part this provides the alkalinity, but another part this is a weak component which can again react with carbon dioxide and again leached out. We call it as a free line in the form of calcium carbonate. So this also we need to utilize it further, because this is a weak component and this creates the fine pores in the concrete. We are already understood, because of the hydraulic nature of the reaction, there is a heat of hydration into a concrete. In terms of chemical reaction with cement, 50 to 60% water only takes part in hydration reaction, and rest of the water later on gets evaporated. That evaporation creates the fine pores into a concrete. So we want this water quantity at a lower side, because 30-40% water, if it is evaporating from the concrete, it is creating a lot of pores or voids into a concrete. And in the beginning we understood that the durability is directly linked to the porosity. If your concrete is on a low porosity, lower the porosity, higher will be the durability. So that also we need to understand how we can reduce the component of water in a concrete. So this evaporation creates the capillaries in the concrete, which is harmful to the concrete. So porous, if concrete is porous, then there will be a lot of aggressive environment is there. Water is also there. Chloride, suppose water and chlorides ingress into a concrete, there will be a corrosion. Once our reinforcement still starts getting corrosion, and the volume gets almost to the tune of say 5 to 7 times, and there will be a cracks. Once there are cracks, there will be a spelling of concrete and a lot of issues come. So here we are talking about 100 years of a life without any issue, any maintenance. But if this porosity is available in a concrete, there will not be any, you can say, protection against that. So there are sulfates there in the environment, carbon dioxides are there. So these aggressive environmental agents are always present in concrete. So what we need to do is, let us make a concrete less permeable, so that even if these aggressive environments agents are available, they will not be able to affect on that you can say surface or on a concrete. Just to understand the phases which we already discussed, there are 4 major compounds in a concrete, and which after reaction gets converted into the form of CSH, which is 48%, which increases slowly later on. There are anhydride, means without any reaction cement particles, because 100% cement particle reaction is not possible. There are pores, which we understood, because the excess water gets evaporated. There are other components. CH is calcium hydroxide, which we understood, which is good in terms of maintaining the alkalinity, but too much percentage is not required, because the rest of the, you can say, quantity gets converted into a calcium carbonate, which is leached out, means which comes from the concrete and again creates the pores. So which is also not much of the quantity is required. We want to consume it again. And there are aluminoferrite components, which is formed through the C3 and other components. This is how it happens. So we are worried for these pores. Hydration, we earlier also discussed, though we have these components, tricalcium silicate, dicalcium silicate, but it liberates a lot of heat into a concrete. If you see 90 days, 104 calories per gram of a cement. So more liberation comes from tricalcium silicate, tricalcium aluminate also. It liberates initially a lot of heat. That's why this is also being restricted. Of course, in terms of percentage, it is to the tune of say 7 to 8% only. So major, you can say, heat generates in a cement is tricalcium silicate. Later we C3A, C4AF also, but again the percentage is quite low, and then C2S. And this is how the formation happens in the beginning. Because of the presence of gypsum, there will not be any reaction to the tune of say 2 hours or 3 hours, and later on the reaction happens like this, like this. This is how reaction happens. There will be a maximum heat of hydration, maybe in a days of say 3 to 4 days in a time, and then it gets reduced because now all the components, tricalcium aluminate is reacted, C4AF is reacted, most of the things from the C3 is reacted, and then C2S starts. So this is how the heat of hydration liberation in a concrete. If you see your concrete through the electron microscope, it looks like this. So you have a calcium hydroxide, looks like this. These are unreacted cement because water has not, you can say, being touched with this cement particle, so it is unreacted. This is the inner CSH gel created because of tricalcium silicate and dicalcium silicate, and there are other hydrates. So this is how the actual, you can say, a picture of a concrete through the electron microscope. Phase we discuss. If you see, these are the 4, you can say, major component. This is the water, and slowly, if you say number of days, slowly, these 4 components along with water being converted towards the CSH. Portlandite is nothing but calcium hydroxide, and ettringite is nothing aluminoferrite components. And these are at the end of 100 days, you will find your concrete looks like this. So we want to utilize this portlandite and certain percentage of pores. If you just see water quantity, it shows it is reducing. It means certain percentage of water is already being evaporated, which already created pores into the concrete, and this portlandite, which we want to utilize it. So if you see again at a certain age, our concrete looks like this. This is a real picture of a concrete taken through the SEM, electron microscope. Size is 100 micron. Just for understanding, human hair size is 80 micron. This line is of, if you see right below, 100 micron. So the black part which you are looking is nothing but a fine pores. Happens because of evaporation of the water, happens if leaching happens because of calcium hydroxide, and this is very harmful. Of course, from the naked eye, it's very difficult to see these fine pores, but it is always present in your concrete. A denoted for elite. Elite is nothing but component, CSH component being made by tricalcium silicate. B, little darker one, this belite. Belite is nothing but again CSH being, you can say, made in a concrete by C2S. So this is very good components which actually gives the strength. But these black parts, these fine pores, and if it is connected, this gives the passage for entry for the all aggressive component which we just saw. Once this enters into a concrete, naturally you already studied, there will be a corrosion, there will be a, you can say, reaction with ettringite, there will be a, you can say, a lot of, you can say, reactions are there, which is very harmful. Once these this chemical entrants are entering, then you can't think of a service life of more than 100 years. Just forget about that, those service life. Maybe 10 years down the line, you will see a lot of corrosion, lot of cracks, lot of spilling of the concrete. So which now we are looking for to eliminate these fine pores in a concrete if you want to make a durable concrete and a service life of more than 100 years. Hope this is, with this background, it's very clear why we want to attack, or why we want, you can say, more focus epicenter on the permeability, low permeability, which is the, you can say, key to achieve the durable concrete. So we just saw the porosity, again a same picture taken in a very, you can say, closer view of a capillary pores in concrete, which looks like this. So in a normal concrete, the range, depending upon the quality of the concrete, in the range of say 6% to 15%. Ordinary concrete with a water cement ratio of say 0.55, and in normal concrete, if you see normal concrete, traditional concrete, people are normally add water in the tune of say 30 liters, 35 liters, maybe water cement ratio of say more than 0.6, 0.65. So in that way, the porosity will be around 15%. But in a good quality of concrete, say M30, M40 and kind of thing, say about 5 to 6%, or maybe less than that. But again, we don't want that porosity also in concrete. It's like a sponge. If you just see right side, your concrete, though we are talking it as a, it's a concrete, but it is like a sponge. If you see the concrete through the microstructure level. And these are the various, you can say, fine pores in the concrete with a very fine diameter, very, we can say fine, in the sense maybe to the tune of say 4 micron, 5 micron, 6 micron kind of size of those pores. Just to understand, cement particle sizes on an average is say 40 to 45 micron, cement particles. So again, those particles will not be able to effectively enter into these fine pores. So we want really a very ultra fine material. And that's why we are saying, okay, if you want a durable concrete along with cement and your SCMs, normal SCMs in the form of fly ash and GGBS, you need a very ultra fine material, which is very fine, which goes into these fine pores, block it and make a very, you can say, particle size packing into a concrete so that these pores will get reduced. So we just discussed earlier also. So once you have a pores, these are the chemical admixtures which attacks on your concrete. Once these chemicals are there, which enters into a concrete, and lot of reaction, lot of things you already study, you already know it. CO2, if it is there, it reacts with calcium hydroxide, form calcium carbonate, which is stable in the sense which comes out, leached out from the concrete. Once you have water and chloride, it reacts with the steel, creates the corrosion, you can say, phenomena in the concrete, and then again there will be an issue. So all those things are being directly linked with the fine pores, and that's why we are saying if you are able to lock or reduce these fine pores, a lot of issues will get eliminated out of this. So these are the issues. There will be a, you can say, corrosion in the concrete. There will be a spilling of concrete, and you will look concrete surface like this. Maybe after 10 years, 20 years, we are talking about a concrete of 100 years, 120 years life. This should not happen. And this is how it happens. Deterioration of the concrete surrounding, you can say, various locations you might have observed this kind of issues or corrosion. There are 4 steps to achieve the durability. First and foremost is to reduce the porosity. And this porosity is because of the paste component. Naturally, along with cement, you need a microfine material, which should be much finer than the OPC or a fly ash or a GGBS. Naturally, along with this, you need to reduce the water cement ratio. So a lot of admixtures, PC based admixtures are available. Along with this, third step is to reduce the calcium hydroxide. Naturally, you need to use pozzolanic material. Pozzolanic material is available in what we call a SCM, supplementary cementitious material, fly ash, GGBS, which are very, we can say, useful to utilize this calcium hydroxide, which is a weak component. And the fourth step is increase the packing density. So now we understood that cement particles, though from our point of view, is very fine, but from the microstructural level, it is not fine material. The average size D50 is say 45 micron, where we are talking about the pores having a size of say 10 micron, 15 micron. So this cement particle will not be able to plug these fine pores into a concrete. You need a microfine material much finer than the cement. So if you able to take these 4 steps, you will surely be able to make a concrete long lasting, say 100 and 150 years kind of thing, which is possible. Very simple steps, but of course practically making and all those things is quite difficult to achieve. A lot of things are required, from selection of the material to the end, you can say, pouring level, and then taking care, curing and all those things. again, these are the complete steps one has to take. But these are the major 4 steps. Once you are ensuring these 4 steps, you will able to get those concrete. So you have this concrete being made by this is a traditional concrete materials being used: cement, water, coarse aggregate, fine aggregate. If you want a better workability, naturally you need to add the SCMs, GGBS, fly ash, and then you have microfine SCMs, which we are talking about is in the form of maybe metakaolin, microsilica. Our own product is ultrafine slag. We call it as alcofine, and then chemical admixtures. So for durable concrete, you need, along with these 4 basic component, you have to use these materials in one or the other form in your concrete. Then only durability is being guaranteed. Otherwise, it's impossible to get a durable, long-lasting, sustainable concrete. So you have a, you can say, a matrix being explained in a very simple way. So one can't think of without, you can say, PC Portland cement. One has to use is like a Dadaji of your family of a concrete. Then you have a Dadiji in the form of your, along with the cement, you have to be, you can say, you have to use the pozzolanic material in the form of either a fly ash or a GGBS. But that is also not sufficient. Along with this, you have to use the smaller family members in the form of ultrafine materials. So combination of these family members will create a very, very, you can say, dense matrix of a paste, which is, you can say, being responsible for reducing the fine pores in your concrete. So this is how a simple reaction is being explained. You have a cement. You have a, once you add a water, you will get a CSH, which actually imparts the strength in your concrete. But along with this reaction, the byproduct comes in the form of calcium hydroxide. It is also being referred as Portlandite, which is not, you can say, a component is a weak component, because later on it gets reacted with other, you can say, component in the form of carbon dioxide, and it's not being, you can say, useful. So why then we use the supplementary cementitious material in the form of fly ash, GGBS, ultrafine GGBS, microsilica, so that utilize this, and then again you will get a CSH gel, again gives the strength. So these are the whole, you can say, matrix works. So in terms of SCMs, is like, if you say cement, of course one has to use the cement, but just to understand, is like an antibiotic. So suppose if you are having a fever or something, doctor gives you antibiotic. See, if you go to a homeopathic or Ayurvedic, they say is very harmful, and naturally it's harmful. But one wants a very quick reaction, so naturally one has to consume the antibiotic. We can't sometimes go away from the antibiotic usage of antibiotic. But along with antibiotic, they gives some vitamins. You have to consume that, otherwise there will not be any. There will be a lot of side effects. So one, in concrete, we can't say without cement right now. With the present technology, we can't eliminate the cement, hydraulic cement. Maybe in future there are works are going on where we are completely eliminating the hydraulic cement. Some other binders are coming up, of course, which is may take some time. But present situation, cement we can't avoid, but we have to use it along with SCMs, which is like a vitamins in our body. And once the combination of this, whatever the ill effects are coming up because of the cements get nullified because of these SCMs. So these are the SCMs in the form of fly ash and GGBS are at a micro, you can say, microfine level. But again, we saw we need a ultrafine material in the form of microsilica, metakaolin, rice husk, or ultrafine slag. These are the ultrafine material. Along with the microfine material, we have to use it in a concrete. If you see the pictures, electron microscope, this is a silica fume. This is metakaolin. This is microfine fly ash is also available, and microfine ultrafine GGBS. This is our own product, Alcofine 1203. We call it ultrafine GGBS, or Alcofine. We call it Alcofine 1203. Very fine material to be used in concrete. These are the various permissible limits available as per IS 456, IRC, MORTH, and different, you can say, codes, BSN, ACI. So if you can say, see the cement particles. So the larger particles are cement particles. Once you add microfine material along with the cement particle, you will look picture like this. So naturally, these are very fine material which goes into a fine pores, into a cement matrix. So naturally, the dose is on a very lower side. To the cementitious material, it's around 6 to 8% normally. So it's very, very, you can say, on a lower side. You have to use around 6 to 8 or 10% of this ultrafine materials into a cement, into a cementitious or a binders. Binders is combination of OPC, fly ash and GGBs and this ultrafine material. And you will get this kind of results. So all the fine pores in a paste also, this is in a dry form, but in a fine pores also, you will get this, you can say, views. So if you see larger particles are cement, these are cement particles, and these very fine materials are ultrafine materials. So combination of this actually enhances the particle packing density of a cement paste. So this is a conventional cement, and once you add ultrafine material, you will get a very fine particle packing, which is being explained in this earlier picture also, same. And the PSD particle size distribution is being explained. This is our alkofine, metakaolin, this is cement, microfine fly ash, and condensed silica. So very, very fine material, quite finer than cement. Of course, particle size distribution, it is measured in the form of particle sizes. D10 means 10% of this size particle, D50, 90%, 100%. So these are the sizes, very, very fine material. If you see D90 is 9 micron. In terms of cement, D micron is say around 75 or 80 micron in cement. So quite fine. These are the chemical composition of these materials. Along with OPC, you have alkofine, fly ash, silica fume, metakaolin, and rice husk. So most of the material are either silica, like silica fume is majority is 86% silica. Metakaolin is combination of silica and alumina. Alkofine is combination of both. It's having a cementitious properties towards the OPC. So you have silica also, alumina also, and calcium oxide also. Advantage is pH. It should be towards, you can say, on a alkaline, you can say numbers, maybe 11, 12, or 13 kind of thing. These are the tests being done on the pozzolanic activity, whatever the pozzolanic material being reacted with cement, and it gives the activity index. Just to measure the permeability, there are various, you can say, tests. Of course, not in Indian standard, but there are American standards. A lot of tests are there. One is RCPT. You might have heard, rapid chloride penetration test. There are many tests. There is 90-day ponding test. There is a chloride diffusion test, normally being known as NT test, NT443 or NOT test. ASTM-CA rate of absorption test. Nowadays, this test is very, you can say, being used. Rapid migration test, NT492 in many of the projects, and RCPT. These are the two major tests being used in most of the projects. RCPT is a very simple, you can say, setup. I will not explain in detail, but this concrete surface is being penetrated with along with sodium hydroxide. One side is sodium hydroxide, one side is sodium chloride solution, and then current is being passed. 60 volt current is being passed. Naturally, all is nothing but you can say a cell setup where the ions gets pushed from one surface to another, which is being measured in the form of charges. Charges are being, you can say, being given in the form of coulombs. Coulombs are nothing but how much charge being passed from the concrete. High charges passing means your concrete is more permeable. Low charges passing is your concrete is low permeability. So nowadays people are looking for a permeability in terms of RCPT less than 1000 coulomb in majority of the structures. These are the various tests we did in IIT Madras also on various, you can say, combination of these ultrafine materials and concrete, which gives very satisfactory results. I will not go much on the detail. This is again a chloride ponding test just to measure how much chloride is being passed from the concrete uh, by putting a solution on the concrete surface. If you see OPC, pure OPC top surface, it's 0.46 percentage without any ultrafine material. And if you add ultrafine material, it gets quite being reduced. And on a lower surface, hardly any penetration is happening, which is a good sign for a concrete, which we are looking for. Ultimately, we are looking for a permeability. There should not be any diffusion of this chloride so that our concrete will get protected. These are all sortivity tests as per the C1585. And these are water permeability tests you might have done in your laboratory, where concrete is being subjected with a 5 bar of a pressure, and then after 3 days of this pressure, it is being measured how much water gets penetrated into a concrete. So once your concrete is very dense, water also will not penetrate into the concrete surface, and which is measured in terms of water penetration. Normally, people are specifying, say, 10 mm, less than 10 mm of a water absorption. These are the impact, or you can say effect of packing density. So this is how the durability improvement happens because of addition of these microfine and ultrafine materials. It improves the workability, it improves the rheology, it also reduces the segregation. Along with this, it reduces the hydrovibration because we are reducing the percentage of OPC, pure OPC in a concrete matrix, which is, you can say, key element to give the heat of hydration. Here we are reducing it. In a hardened stage, there are a lot of improvements: durability, resistance to ASR, strength to all edges, resistance to chemical attack, and lower permeability. I just quickly, because we are running short of time, the last part, I'll just share the case studies where this material has been used and what are the results. So these are very important structure. The project is still going on. Mumbai, those who are from the Mumbai can understand and know it. There is a one bridge construction is going on, which is called Mumbai Trans Harbour Line project. So it connects New Bombay, means from Suri to New Bombay, because New Bombay, there is an international airport is coming up. Now, those who know Mumbai, suppose somebody wants to go from Mumbai to New Bombay, it takes, say, 3 hours time. A lot of congestion, a lot of traffic, and a lot of, from Vashi, from Mankur, they have to travel to Vashi. Then the entire stage is New Bombay, Vashi, Belapur, and all those things. Airport is coming towards the Belapur, this part. So suppose this airport is coming up and somebody wants to travel, it will take 3 hours, 4 hours time. Just to reduce that, this project is going on. Of course, at maybe 40% is completed, 40-50%. It connects Bombay to New Bombay with a stage of 22 kilometer. And this is the first kind of project in India where this bridge, such a long bridge of 22 kilometers, is constructed in a sea. Now imagine in a sea, the aggressive environment. So they did a lot of R&D and how to, you can say, mitigate those durability issue. And they come out with, you can say, specifications where they need, say, RCPT less than 1000, water permeability less than 10, RCMT less than 2. All those specifications, did a lot of trials, and then concrete is being made, where they are using a cement of, say, only 190 kg. And GGBS of 325 kg and Alcofine of 50 kg. With this combination, they are able to get the concrete satisfying those durability requirement. And this project is for the life of 150 years. Of course, you can't think of replacing of a bridge of 22 kilometers, such an important structure within, I say, a span of 10, 15, 20, 50 years. Naturally, you have to have a very, you can say, higher or a longer service life, which is possible in concrete, which this project is going on in Mumbai. These are the, you can say, like just see this picture. This is a batching plant in sea itself. Material is being mobilized from the offshore, from the surface to this sea level. And this piling work is going on where there is a floating batching mix, first of its kind being made in the sea itself. These are barges. These are the batching plant. Concrete is being made with all those specifications, and then it is being poured. Just imagine the situation in a sea where the very aggressive environment is there. But with utilization of ultrafine material, it's possible. Again, this project is going on in Mumbai, underground metro projects. Again, a very aggressive environment, and their requirement was early high strength. They were expecting 12 MPa in 12 hours, because this is a underground, you can say, this metro in the sense tunnel, and these liners are made of precast concrete. Right side are liners. So 6 pieces of these liners makes a complete circle. Again, there is an aggressive environment, and these molds are very costly. So they were looking for a early high strength, 12 MPa, 12 hours, and of course RCPT requirement less than 1000 coulomb, water permeability less than 12 mm, and design life of 100 years. There also we supported in solution, and then they were utilizing the ultrafine materials. These are the mixes and the results. Mandvi, Goa, again, there is a bridge. These are the precast components, and very aggressive environment. They were looking for 20 MPa in 24 hours. RCPT less than 1000, water permeability less than 15 mm. So nowadays, all the durability parameters or the requirements are being mentioned, and you have to give the concrete with, you can say, plastic stage and hardened stage also, satisfying the requirement. These are the mixed proportion, mixed design. This is the high-rise structure, Raheja Imperial in Mumbai. I'll not go into much of the detail, but ultrafine material is being used. This is Namaste Tower, which is under construction. This is the IM100 grade of concrete mix design being done with a very low water cement ratio. So these, just to conclude at a last stage, normally ultrafine materials are being specified in the form of particle size. So there, because it's very fine, just imagine it's almost 5 times finer than OPC cement. So there you can't measure it in blend. Indirectly, you can say it's more than 12,000 blend. Your normal cement is to the tune of, say, 2,500 to 3,000 of a blend. It is almost 5 times more fine. But those fine material is not possible to measure by normal blend. It is normally being characterized with PSD, particle size distribution. So D95 or a D90 or a D50. So this is how it is being specified. Then there is the ultra fine slag activity index also, just to see the reactivity. Dosages are in the range of, say, 4% to 8% by weight of total cementitious material. Of course, one need to see that specific gravity should not be less than, say, 2.8. Means it should be compatible with the cement. Cement specific gravity normally ranges, say, 3.1 kind of thing. So it should be very close to a cement specific gravity. There should not be any mixing issue in that. And these are the specifications which we already discussed in the projects. So just to conclude, for proper particle packing, we already saw like cement particles, though it looks very fine, but at a microstructure level, it's not fine. One has to do the particle packing at a cement stage also, and you need the ultrafine material in the range of, say, 5 to 6, 7 or 8%, depending on the requirement, along with the fine materials. So you are using the pozzolanic material in the form of fly ash or a GGBS, and then ultrafine materials. Combination of this will get up, you can say, proper packing in a paste. The particle size distribution is playing a key role. In that, we just saw the various graphs, how important to have different sizes of a particle, so that we will reduce the fine pores present in a concrete. So we just saw in HPC or a durable or a long-lasting sustainable concrete, these materials, fine and ultrafine materials, are playing a crucial role to strengthen the concrete and improve the durability of a concrete. So free water entry get reduced in binder paste. ultimately we are reducing the chloride, you can say, diffusion in a concrete, so that at the end we are achieving a durability and a strength will get enhanced because of utilization of these materials. So this is how you can say, in conclusion, all those structures are not possible without utilization of these materials along with cementitious material in the form of cement, SCMs in the form of fly ash and GGBS, and ultra fine SCMs in the form of various, you can say, product. One of product is from our side, Alcofine 1203. So all those structures would not have been possible if we will not have these materials available. Because of the availability of this material, we are just touching the sky. A lot of structures, a lot of projects are going on so that these materials are available. And these structures are being designed for a service life of say 100 years, 120 years, 150 years kind of thing, without any, you can say, maintenance or any issue in between, which is possible and which is going on. With this, I think from my side, thank you very much. Again, this is a building, Namaste Tower, coming up in Mumbai. It's in the shape of Namaste only. With this, from my side, thank you for patience listening. If you are having any question, you can please raise the question. I think, within the time limits. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir, for such a wonderful presentation. The details which you shared in your PPT, they are far from the syllabus which we teach the students from the RTMNU University. So very new things were told by you to the students, and I believe that the students will keep this in mind and will try to utilize this information given by you in their future projects.
Yeah.
So this session is now open for question answers. Any student, if you are having any question, you can please ask.
I encourage finally a student, if you are taking any, you can say, projects, you can say take projects on this concrete also, HPC or a durable, design life more than 100 years, design it with ultra fine products. So many colleges, we help them in designing and support them. So that is also a kind of support from our side also.
Yes, sir, definitely. This week we are having a project titled finalization seminar, and I believe that one or two groups from our department will definitely take up the project in concrete technology field, and will try to utilize this HPC materials and the technology which you told us. So with this, we conclude today's session here. Thank you very much, sir, for giving your valuable time to us. And we hope that we will meet soon in future. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thanks.